Wingless Dreamer presents Flirting with Words, a guide to writing romance novels.
Psst. You. Yeah, you. I am so glad you clicked on this video. I have something to tell you. I like you. I adore how enthusiastic you get about writing and how much you enjoy it. When you talk about it, your whole being glows. Your face lights up, and your eyes, they shine like stars. I don't anticipate a prompt reaction to my confession. Take your time. In the meanwhile, you can go through the YouTube video I made. It contains some incredibly useful tips to help you get started on your journey of writing a romance novel. If you haven't fallen for me already, then you'll most certainly fall for me after this video. Number 1. Pick the palette. Choose your romance. Factors affecting romance. Love is unique. For some, it comes with fiery hot passion, while for others, it is as gentle as a heartbeat. For some, it is all-consuming and momentous, and for others, it can be something quiet and unremarkable, like making coffee for loved ones. The way one loves when they are 40 is vastly different to when one loves when they are 19. The expectations and requirements from a relationship are different. Hence, it is essential to decide what sort of love you want to explore in your book, as it will decide the setting, the themes, the characters, their pasts, and subgenres. So, when you decide on what type of love you want to explore, it will automatically provide you with the necessities for writing your story. Here's a small exercise. Pause the video and look at the two pictures. Based on the setting, characters, and other context clues provided, try to build a romance that would work for these images. Number 2. Select the stencil. Choose your subgenre. What makes your story unique? What's your fresh take on the classic and timeless arc of romantic novels? A slow burn enemies to lovers historical fiction will be radically different from a love at first sight contemporary romance. It is important to choose an appropriate subtrope as it will carry the weight of your story. You've thought about the sort of love that would bloom for each of the pictures, right? Now it is time to experiment with subtropes. What could you do? Pause the video and think of all the subtropes you could experiment with and try to come up with something unique and captivating. Have a go with these scenarios too. Number 3. Paint the picture. How will you tell your story? Chronology of narration. Most romance books follow a similar arc. If you'd like to try something new and make your story more engaging, you could try different narratives. Let us understand each of these narrative styles. Linear narration. Linear narratives present stories in a sequential and chronological manner by telling what happens from one point in time to the next without using flashbacks or flash forwards and then returning to the present. Parallel narration. Parallel narratives are story structures where the writer incorporates two or more separate stories. They are usually linked by a common character, event, or theme. Parallel narratives could follow linear or non-linear narrations too. Non-linear narration. This narrative jumps back and forth in time. It might start in the middle and then reveal earlier or later events through flashbacks, future speculation, flash forwards, dream sequences, or foreshadowing. Non-linear plot lines can mimic the recall of human memory or weave in fantastical elements like time travel or clairvoyance. This technique is used to create suspense, build character depth, or reveal events from different perspectives. Who tells the story? That has a great impact on how the story is told. Let us look at how each character would tell the story. First-person narrators. A reliable character telling their own story. The advantage to a reliable protagonist narrator is the instant trust granted by the reader. The reader believes everything the character says, something that should not be taken for granted. These characters also tend to be likable, so readers root for them to succeed. A character telling another character's story. In first-person peripheral, The narrator is a witness to the story, but they are not the main character. Pause the video and try to think about what scenarios this could be used in, especially in the case of romance novels. An unreliable character telling the story. An unreliable narrator is clearly and intentionally biased, not credible, and misunderstands what's happening around them. They may be too naive or not have all of the information or understanding necessary to tell the story accurately. They can intentionally or unintentionally lie to the reader. Second person narrators. In this, the action is driven by a character ascribed to the reader, one known as you. The reader is immersed into the narrative as a character involved in the story. The narrator describes what you do and lets you into your own thoughts and background. This is most commonly used in the character X reader fanfiction romances. Third person narrators. In third person narration, the narrator exists outside the events of the story and relates the actions of the characters by referring to their names or by the third person pronouns he, she, or they. Third person narration can be further classified into several types: omniscient, limited, and objective. Third person omniscient. Omniscient means all-knowing, and likewise, an omniscient narrator knows every character's thoughts, feelings, and motivations, even if that character doesn't reveal any of these things to the other characters. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott is an example of third-person omniscient narration. Third-person limited. In third-person limited narration, the narrator still exists outside the events of the story but does not know the motivations or thoughts of all the characters. Rather, one character is the driver of the story and the reader is given a closer peek into that character's psyche than the others. An example of third-person limited narration would be Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. Third-person objective. In this, the narrator reports the events that take place without knowing the motivations or thoughts of the characters. We know little about what drives them until we hear them speak or observe their actions. The resulting tone is often matter of fact, not colored by any opinions or commentary, nor of knowledge of what takes place outside the scenes. Number 4. The big picture. What to tell in your story. Let us look at some key stages that see some significance in romance novels. It is not absolutely necessary to include all these stages in your book. These are just a reference and not necessary to be followed in the given order. Key event number 1. The hook. This is the part where you grab the reader's attention. The hook is the most important part of the story, as based on it is whether your reader will continue reading the book or find it unappealing. The hook can be an opportunity to give insight into a character's personality or sometimes even give hints about the climax of the story. Key event number 2. Their ordinary lives. Romantic stories aren't just about two people falling in love. It is peeping into the regular lives of two or more people only to realize how extraordinary it is. It is finding beauty in life, our own lives, and cherishing the world. By writing about your characters' daily lives, you can focus on their dynamics with themselves and each other. This is usually the part where the characters are introduced and the atmosphere of the book is set. Key event number 3. The meet cute or the inciting incident. This is probably the most awaited part of a romance novel, the first time the main characters meet. If well written, it'll be one of the most memorable parts of the book. Key event number 4. The trials and tribulations. This is where the story starts taking shape. We introduce the pasts of the character and start shaping their future. This is also the part where we introduce the internal conflicts of the characters. Then we explore the external conflicts and the dynamic between our lovers. Number 5. Attention to detail, the do's. Make readers fall in love with your characters. Show the readers reason to fall in love with your characters. This will connect the readers to the characters on an emotional level and make them more involved and engaged with the story. This will no longer be a love story between the characters in your book, but also between the readers and the characters in your story. Make them feel. By emotionally connecting the readers with your story, you now hold a firm grip over their emotions. Don't hesitate to make your audience cry tears of joy, anger, or despair. Give them the full experience. It's all in the little things. We always highlight the big things in life, but rarely the little things. What makes romance novels attractive is that they focus on these little things that we can relate to and understand, little things that make the story more real to us. The little things you need to focus on if you would like to write a romance novel are: one of the best parts of romance novels is the beauty in the descriptive language. It is almost poetic. The beauty is in the details. Find all the small things one could fall in love with and describe them to the audience the way the protagonist sees. Striking the right balance. Romance novels are introspective, at the same time dialogue heavy, as they deal with figuring out one's own feelings while forming a relationship with someone else, which is only possible if there is dialogue and communication. Striking the right balance between dialogue and introspection is essential to a well organized story. Number 6. Clear the cliches, the don'ts. We come across themes that are overused or overdone in romantic novels. Don't implement cliches in your book just to make it feel like a romantic novel. It will do more harm than good. However, if you feel a cliche suits the relationship surrounding your story, or it seems like the lead couple are the sort of people who will do something that falls under the label of cliche, then do add them. Whatever the couple do should not feel forced. It is easy to tell when something feels forced and unauthentic. Number 7. Engaging in erotica. To engage or not to engage? That is the question. Reasons to include sex scenes. Another major question that arises in romantic novels are sex scenes. Including sex scenes out of obligation will come off as forced. How you write sex scenes will likely depend on your own writing style and the subgenre of your story, but there are a few rules of thumb that can be helpful regardless of what type of writer you are. Your intimate scenes shouldn't exist for their own sake. They should advance the plot or show character development in some way. Sex scenes are one way to display a more vulnerable side of the characters. Fell in love with me? No. Well, I couldn't write the perfect romantic story for you and I, beloved, but avenge my love and write a romantic novel that will put our love story to shame. And while you're at it, press the subscribe button to our channel for more videos like this.